with it in the hood with it. Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and I'm even more so appreciative, man. So thank you guys so much. I couldn't do without you. So I was asked a question the other day in the live, man, about the California Youth Authority, C.Y.A. Now, I've been to a few of them, okay? And I can tell you, they were all different. They all moved different. They all had different programs. What wasn't different was the mentality, right? Especially in the 90s. I think the 90s era, whether it was on the streets or in the youth authority or even in prison, gangbanging was at the highest level it's probably ever going to be at. You know, that's when every movie that was coming out was targeting the youth. It was gangbanging. It was showing it was glorifying it. It was showing people how to do it, what was going on in the city of LA. Because we can keep it real. On the West Coast, no matter what anyone says, LA, Los Angeles was the mecca of gangbanging, you know? You didn't just have Los Angeles. Of course, you had Northern California, the Bay Area doing their thing, the Central Valle. You had San Diego, the Inland Empire. They've always wiggled, right? But Los Angeles, the city of LA, was the mecca. That's pretty much where a lot of the West Coast stilo comes from. That's where it started as far as the Raza and the brothers, man. That's just a fact, right? You had the Crips, the Bloods, the Southsiders, and then everyone else that encompassed gangbanging, they were doing that. So when I first went to Fred C Nellis, this is located in Southeast LA, okay? I'll tell you right now, it was a dangerous situation, okay? It was a situation where at any point in time, you can get booked, you can get battery packs smashed on. It was real gladiator school. It wasn't like what people think, or, you know, I've heard stories about the youth authority after, you know, maybe in the late 2000s, and there was shit popping off. But it was nothing like it was for us pulling up, especially those that were pulling up in the enemy's backyard. Now, I know a lot of people have told stories. I've told stories in the past about the youth authority. Everybody was moving militant. Everybody was moving viciously and violent. You know, I've been to several prisons, different states, done a lot of time. And I can tell you guys right now, hands down, there ain't nothing, and I mean nothing, not a prison, not a high desert, not a Pelican Bay, not a Salinas Valley, nothing that can prepare you or compared to the youth authority in California in the 90s. It was a lot of mind games being played, a lot of people being played out of pocket, a lot of people being hurt, injured, stabbed, and there was no one to run to. See, in the California prison system, you have S&Y yards, protective custody yards, places where people could just walk into a program office and say, you know what, I'm done here. I'm done. Get me out of here. I'm rolling it up. I'm checking in. Whatever you want to call it, right? And of course, they'll go be placed in administrative segregation, which is the whole. And then from there, man, they'll go to a committee. They'll do certain things, take certain steps. The administration will take the necessary steps to place them where it is beneficial for them, for their safety and security concerns, right? See, in the youth authority, you never had that. No way. There was none of that. It didn't matter what happened to you, if you were beat on, if you were raped, if you were hurt, maimed, tortured, you were going to get thrown right back the next day. Preferably, you know, as quick as it took for the mace to stop burning in your eyes. That's how bad it was. I've seen so many situations where, you know, thinking back now as an older guy, as an adult, man, like, wow, I can't believe some of the youth made it through that. I can't believe I made it through that. Just the type of situations that they put us in. Now, when I was in Fred C Nellis, and the reason why I speak on Fred C Nellis more so than, say, Preston or Carl Holton, NRCC, other places I was at, was that's where it was more dangerous for me than anything. That's where I really seen what was popping in YA. I think that was my first stint, my first time really being, you know, incarcerated to that level. Now, for those of you that are from out of state, different countries, and don't understand what the California Youth Authority was, because it's no longer in existence the way it was basically prison for kids. Okay, when I say prison for kids, literally prison. Barbed wire fences, some had walls, There was shanks. There was battery packs. There was a lot of people that would hurt you. And the youth authority had everyone from the age of 11 and 12 all the way up to sometimes 24, 25-year-old grown men. All together, all placed in a situation where people hated each other and enemies slept side by side in bunks. Okay, we're talking about kids that fought, did drive-by shootings, stabbings, and everything on the streets against their enemies, and then they would get placed in this institution where you had no choice but to program alongside of your enemy, whether it was Norteños and Southsiders, whether it was Crip or Blood. There was a lot that went on. So I'm going to talk about a couple of incidences that happened that I haven't spoken on in the past, right? Now, I remember one situation. There was a bulldog. And this was at the time when the Bulldogs, the Fresno Bulldogs, were still functioning with Norteños. They still were within the fold, part of, the same thing. It wasn't, they were part of, they were. Okay, Bulldogs were homies at the time. And so we didn't know what was going down with the split or what was happening in the prison system. We were way down south in Nelles. All we had was each other. All we had was the soldados that were there that were willing to go all out. And I remember, man, a lot of the homeboys would come from NRCC, which was our reception. It was in Sacramento. And I'm not going to lie, man, half would fall off. They'd be like, fuck this. I'm cool, man. I'm trying to get my visits. I'm trying to get my little packages, my canteen. I'm cool, man. I ain't trying to gangbang down here. So that would test you and show, who was what and what was who. And it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate, man. But, a lot of the Bulldogs that were there at that time, they had come from different institutions like OH Close, Carl Holton, Preston. So they were seasoned a little bit, at least the ones I was around. So I was actually celled up because it was a long dorm. The way it was set up, it was a long dorm, and then there was cells on the side. There was a concrete wall in the middle, a tall wall, which was filled up with double bunks, a short wall, which was single bunks. And then, of course, there was cells. So me and the homeboy from Fresno, we were in a cell. And I remember we were devising a plan to catch a body. Okay, true story. We had been trying to come back up north for the longest time. And no matter what we did, no matter how many melees and riots and things we got involved in, it never happened. Okay, they weren't going to do it. We were sent down south to set a precedent and as an example. See, prior to us going down south like that, Southerners, Southern California, Southsiders, had always went to every institution. They had been going up north for a long time. And you could ask those in the late 80s and 90s, they were catching a lot of blues. When they would pull up to Preston, they'd send 4, 5, 6 of them at a time. The Norteños, the Bulldogs were on them. Quick. Mandatory rush on site. As soon as that bus pulled up, and everybody knew what buses were which buses. You knew which buses were coming from Northern California reception. You knew which buses were coming from SRCC or down south. SRCC was a Southern California reception. So, it was a thing where they were throwing them to the wolves for so many years. Eventually, the administration in Sacramento decided to do the same thing with the North, to do the same thing with Norteños. So they started to sent us to Paso in the beginning. That was the first Southern institution where they sent Norteños. Then they eventually, a couple months later, sent us to Nelles. I was on that second bus load to Nelles, for those that don't know my history, right? And we were told it didn't matter what we did. It didn't matter who we told. We were going to fucking stay right there and fight that good fight. Now, in the midst of that, a lot of people got hurt. A lot of people got injured on both sides. Because when you put someone in a position where they have to fight or flight, you have to do what you have to do. And again, like I said, it was a gladiator school. Kids earning stripes, gang banging. No one liked each other. So, this is what happens. So it's me and the Bulldog. And we are talking, we're cellies for about a month. And it was like, look, bro, every time we go to the school area, we're getting jumped on. Every time, we go to chow, it might be cool on this compa, like the Southsiders ain't really tripping here like that, just because they're used to us now. But every time we see Southerners from other compas, they're trying to rush, get off. It was an everyday thing. And when I say every day, every fucking day. Okay, we were in Los Angeles, basically Whittier. And it just wasn't what you would think it is for Norteños, man. It was very, very rough. And I understand the Southerners went through the same type of bullshit up north. It was tit for tat. that was really gangbanging. If that's what you really wanted, they had a whole lot to serve you. Oh, there was seconds. You want seconds? We got seconds and thirds and fourths, whatever. So anyways, this particular day, we had took a piece off the bunk, right? We had carved a piece off the bunk. And anyone that's ever been in prison or the youth authority would tell you, man, all metal is soft, right? So if you take a little bit of a harder metal, you can carve out a knife. So we had us a nice big piece, a chunky piece, right? And the thing was, I told the homeboy, look, I'll blast them, right? We're going to pick a target. I'll blast them, and then you're going to stay on them. And you got to think of the mentality. Now that I think back, wow, I was willing to catch life to better my life, or what I thought would be better. Anything to be with the homeboys up north. That was my mentality. Anything to go back home, to get the fuck away from this, to get basically not PC up, but to handle our business, to catch a one-way ticket up out of there. Not even, and our mentality was like, oh, we'll kill someone or we'll stab the shit out of someone. They'll ship us back up north because we're going to be a problem. We're going to continue to be a problem, right? That's not what was going to happen. Now I think back like, damn, bro, we were going to catch an M number. We were going to catch a body. We were going to go to prison. And we were going to be young and in a world of hurt, man. Now we were going to go into a place that was even a little bit more dangerous. At least that's what we thought. And it was going to be all bad. We didn't give a fuck, right? So this day, this is what happens, right? Now, to be honest with you, in them times, the brothers were probably, if not deeper, just as deep as the Southerners. Okay, I'd say Nelles, the Southsiders pretty much had the majority of the compas, meaning they had the numbers, but there were some compas where the blacks, Crips and Bloods were just as deep as the Southsiders, and some compas they were deeper, right? And a lot of people would think, you know, hey, Norteños function with blacks, because that's what you've heard. Oh, the whites function with Southsiders and blacks function with Northerners, but that's prison, okay? And that's not all prisons all the time. That's just something that's been put. That shit happened in the 60s. It's not like that, okay? There's no alliances. That's bullshit. I don't know what you heard. You know, we were a little bit cooler with the blacks. We talked a little bit more. We could identify in certain lingo and certain things. But as far as backing each other up, unless they were Crip 14ers, which was CXIVers, which was an actual group that was formed of Crips and Norteños that came together and started a little thing. And then, of course, later on, I heard there was Bulldogs, Bloods, and whoever else, right, that came together. You know, that was after my time. It wasn't like that, okay? But anyway, so we had took a brother into confidence. Like, hey, bro, we're going to need you on this angle, you know, because back then, truth, in the youth authority, they would sell up blacks with Southsiders. True story. They would sell up whites with blacks, whites with Norteños. They never necessarily set up Northerners with Southsiders just because they knew exactly what time it was with that. I did tell you a story about how they did do that on accident one time. And me and the Valto Ducky from the IE just had to do our thing, right? But they actually would sell up Southsiders with blacks, right? At this time. True story. So there was this one guy. We were targeting him. Like, all right, what's going to happen is his cell was way at the end. He was settled with the brother. We were cool with the brother, right? At least we thought we were, right? And it was like, we told the brother, hey, get that motherfucker comfortable, bro. When you come out, right, we're going in for the kill. Okay, that's just what it was. And think of this mentality. We're trying to be secretive. We're trying to get it where the cops don't see us. We're trying to do all this and that. We're trying to get away with it, actually, right? And at the same time, get caught. I don't understand. Maybe we thought, I don't remember the thinking. Maybe it was like, if we leave the body just leaking, they'll automatically blame the Northerners and ship us all out. You know, but they could just as quick blame his celly. And that's exactly what his celly was thinking, right? So this black dude was pretty much like, fuck that, bro. If you guys come in here and do my celly dirty, the first person they're going to point the fingers at is me, right? We didn't care. We were being selfish. All we wanted to do, we had an agenda. Catch this body, get on down the road, right? And the way I say it is the way it was. It trips me out now, even that mentality and thinking now that I have, you know, my children and I've grown up like nothing, a body. No name, no body, no face, no one cares, right? A body, like he's just not a human being. It's crazy mentality, but that's what it was. And everyone had the same mente, right? No one cared. So As we're approaching this cell, right, he comes out, the black dude, he kind of looks at us like, oh, hell nah, cuz, right? And he's coming out. We go to rush in, and guess what? There ain't no one in that cell, right? And it was at that moment I knew we fucked up, right? I looked at my cell. He has a big old piece, right? I had the biggest piece, right? Because we're going to go in and just blast them. And I had that one that was just a monster. He had one that was just a little beagle, but it was nice too. It would have sunk, right? And we went in there like, right? Norte. No one was in there. How the fuck did this fool dip out? Well, this is what happened. His cellie had told him he felt bad. And he was like, he didn't want to get caught up. He was like, hey, bro, these Norteños are going to come in here and get you, right? And this was going to set a precedent. Up until then, on both sides, no one had got killed. No one had been, I mean, there was some stabbings that happened, some battery packing, some fucking getting hit with boards. I know, all that happened to me, right? There was a lot of shit that happened. But up until this point, no one had got bodied yet. And it probably had been a long time since anyone had got bodied in Nelles. And why we came up with this grand scheme is we wanted the shock value, basically. Like I said, to get up out of there. And when we went in there, we knew we messed up. You know you done messed up, right, blood? Right? Oh, hell no. And all these Southsiders came rushing in and got to mollywopping and stomping us. I tried to scrape some people with the knife, but I didn't. What I did was smart. I took that knife and I threw it up under the bunk. Right? That was probably the smartest thing. I didn't know what my cellie was, my homeboy was doing with his knife, but I threw mine away because I knew that if the Southsiders got a hold of that knife, they were going to put it in me. Man, we got fucked up. And look, everything that we thought and we did worked against us. The same blacks that we thought had our back, the homie that had our back, they blocked and all stood deep in the hallway so the cops couldn't see at the end of the control, the office, right? Real story, right? Motherfuckers was blocking. Me and the homeboy was in there getting smizzashed, right? And it was reverse, had the reverse effect. Okay, of course, a few people heard it and they started rubbernecking and fucking dry snitching. What's going on down there, right? And a couple of our homeboys heard and they're looking and they're like, oh shit, the homies, right? So they try to run and they literally started chunking them with the brothers, right? And I remember thinking to myself, man, I thought the blacks was cool with us. That was C.Y.A. for you. Wasn't nobody cool with no one. No one have nobody's back. We end up getting beat up, smashed on, fucking dragged up out that cell all bloody, thrown fucking me and the cellie went back to our cell, and I was looking at him like this, all fucked up. What happened, Holmes? Right? He was like, that wasn't supposed to be like that. I said, no, fuck no, it wasn't, right? Tooth all dangling. We had to recuperate, and figure out what was going to happen next. I'll tell you what happened next. A few days of going behind the handball court and handling our business with not only the blacks, not only the Southerners, but just a whole lot of chaos and bullshit. What went from, oh, we're going to fucking go up north and stab the shit out of this dude and catch a body, turned into a long line of us getting our ass whipped and fighting a whole bunch of people, right? We realized, hey, we're stuck here, bro. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change, right? Now, that doesn't mean that was just one incident where we came up short, right? There was a lot of incidences that happened during our time in Nelles. And here's something that, it doesn't get spoke on too much. I think I've talked about it in the past, but it's a true story. The word Leva. Now, the word Leva was classified and used for basically like, I don't know, a soft individual. Someone who just couldn't hack it within his own people. Now, don't get it twisted. All Levas were not soft. There were some hitters. There were some dudes that'll beat the fuck out of you, right? Just beat you up from the feet you up. But they were Leva for whatever. Maybe they ate after a different race. I mean, it was petty like that. Maybe they went to a compa that they shouldn't have been on. There were just so many different reasons why you can get dropped Leva. Like I said, Leva didn't automatically mean you were a punk or a bitch. But you were considered that amongst your own people, and other people would take advantage of you. Your own gente would take advantage of you, steal your packages, rob your canteen, beat you up. In a lot of cases, I've seen dudes get, and now that I think about it, like, damn, no one condoned that. These dudes were sexual predators, but they actually, to them, that was gangbanging. To them, they would see dudes and they would be like, hey, I'm going to bone that dude right there. Like, what the fuck? Hell yeah, I'm going to twist his mentality. If he's a hardcore homie, he'll fight me. And just like Dubs has told stories, there was dudes that actually would walk up to people and be like, hey, bro, let's get down. It wasn't just like, there was no reason. You didn't have to give a reason for why you were getting down. Someone called you out like, hey, bro, let's go. It could be a big old 21-year-old dude. You're 13 years old. Come on, bro, let's go. You had to go. Because if you didn't, your own people would drop you Leva. And if they dropped you Leva, now that same dude that called you out is probably going to fuck you, right? It was just all crazy. So you might have to go. And this guy could call you out every day, beat the shit out of you every day, constantly. Just, hey, bro, boom, boom. To eventually, I seen a lot of these guys give up the ghost. Next thing you know, instead of him saying, come over here, we're going to fight, he's like, come over here, bro, we're going to fuck. Like, and that was it. Now, that didn't happen all the time, but there was cases where it happened. You know, I used to feel sorry for the little young dudes that were the little young white dudes, man. I'm going to be real. You know, oi, shout out to the woods, brother. But there was a lot of little young white guys that didn't have no backup. You know, even the woods that were with the shit were like, fuck that, bro. We're cool. We don't need them shenanigans and them problems. They would leave them to the wolves and the wolves would attack, bro. It was unfortunate. But anyways, so like I said, there was a lot of incidents that took place, and the word Leva was thrown around a lot. Now, it got to the point where in Paso Robles, when Norteños pulled up there, they were getting off with the Southsiders. Southsiders were getting off on them immediately. And it got to the point where not even a month later, or you could ask Dubs, he was there during the time. He could tell you more when it comes to Paso. But I just know the stories that were told to me. They decided to segregate the Northerners. It was just too much, okay? The Southsiders were at the point they wanted to catch bodies. They wanted to prove that Norteños, and you got to understand, Paso was a little bit older, gente, a couple years older than Nelles. So they were trying to really catch bodies. And the cops caught wind of this, so they segregated the Northerners. They put them in a 270 design building alone or separated from, you know, Southsiders. And they even went to church, program, chow, all that at night. They were just kept separate, right? That's how they were functioning over there. And the Southsiders felt, hey, we held it down. We didn't allow these guys to walk the linea, at least not with us. And bang, bang, they did their thing, right? Now, Nelles was different. Nelles, we was going to school with the Southerners. We was going to program, church, chow, yard, all that every day, all day, right? And Southsiders from different institutions, like, you know, everywhere. From Paso, SRCC, YTS, which was the older gente. That was like the next step to going to prison. They were feeling some type of way about Nelles. And we were happy and laughing because there was whispers going on that they were almost willing to drop anyone that went to Nelles that didn't get off on the Norteños and catch a level B, that didn't catch a write-up for like viciously attacking the Norteño, were going to be considered Leva. Wherever they went, they were going to be getting dropped Leva. They were going to drop the whole institution Leva, meaning if you went to Nelles and stood there, you were all bad on the southern side, right? And again, I was like, wow, we're changing the whole narrative of this place. And really, it had nothing to do with us. It wasn't us. It was the administration, because Baltas were trying to get rid of us. We were trying to get rid of them. But the administration was just letting the torture tactics and the shit happen. The mind games, the manipulation. You know, that's what the youth authority was. And every different C.Y.A was vicious. They all had their wars going on. I remember when I finally left Nelles, and I didn't want to leave. That's the mentality. That's how crazy it was. The day they told me, roll it up, man, pack your stuff, you're leaving to Preston, I was like, I don't want to go. I had one of my homeboys from my neighborhood there, you know what I'm saying? And I was concerned with him. Like, I've been doing this shit for 3 years. I know what it is to get a battery pack or stabbed or whatever. Like, whatever, it is what it is. But damn, I don't want my homie to go through that. If he's going to go through that, at least go through that with me, not without me. And I remember he was looking at me like puppy, like, damn, bro, don't trip. I got this, right? But at the same time, he's like, damn, the homie's gone. And my mentality was hardened. I was different now. And it's hard to say that. I know a lot of people won't believe it. I did not give a fuck. Just keep me right here in LA. This is where I'm comfortable at. I like it down here, Resi, right? Straight up. But then I did go up north, and now it was a different mentality. Now, because the Northerners were deep, I think that's the very first time I got a glimpse of just how it is when you're too deep. Okay? Now I know some of the Southern problems that they go through when they're too deep. There's a lot of inner conflict. There's a lot of fighting. Where I went, where we were just a gaggle of homeboys, just a handful of homeboys holding on like in Vogue, got each other's backs to the fullest. Brothers, canalismo. That's what it really was. We needed every fucking smoke in this date, and that's it. Plus the knockoffs. So knock it off, right? That's what we had. We go up north, or I go up north, and the homeboy from Stockton, Boo, we go up north, and now there's City Vida, Fameros, 14ers versus XIVers, San Jose versus Fresno, Tulare County and Central Valley set tripping a little bit. Just a lot of different things. And I'm like, I come from a land where, bro, we just, I don't give a fuck. Where you from? X4. Let's just go, right? It got to the point where homeboys were set tripping. Nah, Charlie's song was bigger. Salas is the Mecca. This, and that. And we're not even tripping off the Southsiders. We're tripping on each other more. And it was just, wow. Little did I know I was going to grow up later on in years and I was going to see some of that same shit played out in prison. The individualism and the homeboy favoritism. So it's not just something new. It's been going on. And it happens within the Southerners too. Once you get too deep, people start set tripping. Everybody wants status. Everybody wants to be the man, the llavero, the whatever, right? And that's how it is. Now, as far as the brothers in C.Y.A, okay? The brothers' mentality was this. There was a lot of racial shit going on between brown and black. A lot. Okay, very racial. You know, the Mexicans couldn't eat after blacks, and the blacks definitely wouldn't eat after a Mexican, right? There was a lot of, once the brothers would get deeper, they would try to punk the Mexicans, okay? There was a lot of different things going on, man, and I don't like to make things racial, but I just tell it the fucking way it is without added preservatives, man. Everybody had a chip on their shoulder and was doing that racial thing. Everybody. It wasn't just one side and reverse racism, whatever anyone wants to call it. Everybody, man. White guys used to get there. The brothers used to be like, hey, white boy. Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to take them motherfucking shoes, right? That's just right off the top. That dude had to fight his way out of that shit. Mexicans wasn't going to protect him. Half the woods were like, brother, it's on you. I still got my shoes, though, and my jar of coffee, right? Then it would be, to a thing where, say the Southsiders had the majority or the Norteños had the majority, then the brothers would be cool. You know, everybody would be chopping it up. Then as soon as the brothers got the majority, they'd be like, man, fuck this shit. We ain't watching Caliente. Man, she does got ass, though. We putting on Soul Train, right? And serious. And I'm not trying to make fun of her. I'm just saying that's exactly the way it was, and it would cause friction. Case in point, one time in Nelles, we're kicking back in our corner, smoking michas, frajos, right? The Norteños, there's 7 of us. We're trying to hold it down. And this big old Southsider comes walking up. He's like 20 years old, 21. Big old dude. He had Calexico on his chest. I remember we kind of knew he was a little shot caller, but we didn't know, right? The motherfucker came up on Swobo, right? Looking like fucking Wes Watson, but with hair and tight and not loose ass cheeks, right? So as he comes walking up, we're like, oh shit, drop the meat shot. Like, damn, this fool's gonna get off. He's like, hey, who's gonna get at you? Yeah, what's up? He's like, hey, watch out. You know, these Africanos, these brothers are getting a little bit deeper. They're getting louder. They're getting crazier. What had happened was an incident with the TV. See, there was 2 TVs. One TV stood on Spanish all the time. One TV stood on English, right? Which was basically the black TV. We divided the TVs. Just that's what it was. Politics, right? And it didn't matter what was on, unless it was like an institutional movie everybody wanted to see, or the Super Bowl or boxing or something like that people would agree on. That fucking TV better not change from Spanish. And there was a brother that got there and he tried to change it, put Soul Train on. Man, why can't we watch it on both TVs? Y'all essays ain't watching the shit anyways. And boom, everyone jumped up. It could get set off quick, you know? Don't touch our TV. When at the end of the day, it wasn't nobody's TV, but that's how it was. And you know, the brothers would have said the same thing. If Soul Train was on and a Mexican tried to change it, man, you best believe you're going to get the Don Cornelius ass whipping of your life. You know, you're going to get the hippest trip in America. You're going to get ran over by this Soul Train. So that's just how it was. So they came up to us and the Southsiders were like, hey, bro, we're going to get off with these fools. Are you down? And I'm not going to lie. There was an incident like maybe 2 days before where one of the Crips, man, tried to steal from the homeboy. Not steal, like be a thief and sneaky. He tried to rob the homeboy. Like, I'll take your shit. Try to debo his shit. And they went and got down in the blind. So we were still kind of affected by that incident. Like, damn, we thought the Crips fucked with us. No, they didn't fuck with us. They will fuck with you, though, right? And the Crips were with the shits. The Crips I remember, the 60s, the A-Trays, even the Hoovers before they turned criminal. The Watts, these motherfucking PJs, they were with the shits, right? Facts. Bloods, too. Wasn't very many Sangres, but the ones that were down. And so, anyways, we were like, fuck it, bro. It's a raza thing. See how quick we could unite? See what was the catalyst of that? Which now that I think about it, I'm like, damn, these guys can't even get their shit together. You got full rappers north and south dissing each other on wax. And man, there's too much bloodshed and this and that. And all it took was the Blacks touched our TV. Let's go. And everyone was like, united we stand. Now, if that ain't crazy, what is, right? I know there's going to be a lot of brothers like, damn, it took the black man to unite you guys. Yeah, that's what the truth. That's what it was. Shit never happened. They talked it out, and we kind of just was like, whatever. And I ain't even gonna lie, I was telling the homeboys, hey, watch out. We're gonna get off on these blacks. And then we're gonna hit a southerner too. You down? Hike. Anyways, with that being said, man, that's just some of the crazy YA stories and how it really was. You know, you hear a lot of these stories of what people talk about and what they say that weren't really there. You know, one dude tried to fucking, hey, Holmes, it wasn't like that when I was there. Ooh. I said, bro, what's your YA number? He was like, I'm a 7'9". I said, you better stop that shit, bro. I'm talking about 10 years before you, brother. Hey, get on down the road with your doing yoga on yoga mats, bro. We didn't know what yoga was. You know what I'm saying? We knew what fucking shanks were, though. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. I don't tell these stories to glorify this. I tell these stories to let you know exactly how it really was and how being locked up sucks. Because believe me, man, it's been sucking for a long time from a kid to an adult man, and it all sucked the same. But I'm just saying, the youth authority was probably the most dangerous place I've ever been in my life. The gun.